Hello, everybody. Today's review is going to be of Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. Now, I just wanted to say off the hop, this trailer for this movie really did make it look like an action movie. At least to me, that's what it looked like. And yeah, I think they did a good job of tricking the audience into making it look like a pretty good, like decent action flick with some potential jump scares, obviously, but yeah, the trailer really threw me off from what I thought I was going into the theater to see, and then it ended up being like a horror movie, essentially. So yeah, I was super surprised by that, but I thought this movie was fairly decent for what it was. Kind of giving like a new spin, obviously, on the Resident Evil movie series. And I know it looks like we're getting another one next year as a 2026. I think it's supposed to be like a complete reboot of the old Resident Evil series with Mila Djokovic. So I'm interested to see exactly where they're going to go with that and who they're going to cast for those parts, and if they're going to make it like kind of like similar to what it was with her, or whether they're just going to kind of maybe continue potentially on with from where this film left. I'm not really sure. It would be cool to see kind of them kind of go down this road. I think of like the more horror based movies and maybe like more of the from like the video game adaptation, I think. So I did give this movie a 7 out of 10. So obviously we start in 1998. Uh, well, actually, I think we start even before that, um, at the Raccoon City orphanage when Claire and Chris were kids. And eventually they get separated, obviously. It seems that Claire was taken away and her brother stays in Raccoon City. And it seems that he thinks everything Umbrella. Oh my god, sorry guys. It seems that he thinks everything Umbrella does is just great and they can do no wrong. But clearly, we know that what they have going on behind the scenes isn't always necessarily the greatest. And yeah, they're definitely doing some experiments with the T virus, which is mentioned here. Um, I think there's actually two different types of viruses that are mentioned. I believe the A virus and the T virus. And the one guy who is in jail mentions that it's, used as a weapon to, uh, well, not necessarily used as a weapon, but it's used to turn people into weapons. So I wouldn't really even say that they were. Again, it's hard to say that these people were zombies because it almost seemed like they had like their consciences, like their conscience was still there, but they were somehow hungry for flesh. Although some of the, obviously, once we get to like the mansion, the Spencer mansion and stuff like that in the movie, the zombies are definitely far from human or even having like any like, I guess, power over their mind. They're just hungry for human flesh by that point. But that was probably one of the the Spencer Mansion was definitely freaky, for sure. And they did say that it looked like it was. I guess they used the blueprints from watching the special features, or part of the special features anyway. It seemed that they used the blueprints from the video game for the Spencer Mansion to actually build it and create it in this movie. So there are plenty of nods to the video game, which I think was great. But I think the tone of the film was good too, like having the horror be the main element and then adding the action into it afterwards just definitely made it a better film. So I did give this a 7 out of 10. I didn't think it was anything uh, like a home run movie or anything, but it was, again, it was good for what it was. And I know the casting got a lot of a lot of hate in this movie for whatever reason, but I thought they did a pretty good job on the casting. Now, obviously, the video game characters did look a little bit different, but I looked up some of them and I think they kind of like, at least with like the, yeah, I think they kind of, well, they didn't really nail it right on the head, but I mean, they certainly did a pretty good job of casting the people who were in the parts. It just kind of, like, the people who played the characters fit well, I think, at least. Um, so we had Kaya Scodelario, I want to say is how you pronounce her name, playing Claire Redfield. Robbie Amell playing Chris Renfield. Hannah John Kamen playing Jill Valentine. Tom Hopper playing Albert Wesker. Avon Joja playing Leon Kennedy, Donald Lau playing Chief Irons, Neil McDonough playing William Birkin, and he always seems to be like kind of like the villain character in the movies. It's weird that he just fits so well in that role. Lily Gao as Ada Wong, Nathan Dales as Vickers, Josh Crudis as Ben Ben Bertolsi. I want to say is how you pronounce that name. Holly DeBarros as Sherry Birkin, and Janet Porter as Annette Birkin. So yeah, we had quite a few characters that really kind of drove this film, and obviously as Claire's getting closer to Raccoon City, stuff starts to kind of ramp up for her. They end up hitting one of the zombies on the road when she's taking a ride with this trucker, and of course then the girl gets up and goes into the forest, and like Claire's kind of looking, you can see her in the forest, and then when Claire gets to her brother's place, she's trying to explain to him like something is clearly wrong, and then the neighbors next door, as soon as her brother leaves to go to work, um, break into his house, and it's a kid and a mother, and they try to attack her, and she just flees out of there like, get me out of here, please. And Wester is clearly under the control of somebody, or working for somebody, trying to uh, I guess basically escape Raccoon City, right? Like he was taking money for, yeah, or supposed to be delivering money or taking money from somebody. I'm not exactly sure, but once he finds out exactly what's happening behind the scenes, obviously he isn't very happy and ends up um, basically almost getting killed because of it. But somehow the person, it was Ada Wong, was pulling the strings behind whatever operation she was trying to get Wesker to do, and she ends up keeping him alive. And for some reason, I can't remember exactly what it was, but his eyes are now sensitive to light, so he always wears the sunglasses. So I was really hoping that we were going to get like a, you know, sequel to this movie, and maybe we still will. Maybe that's what their plan is with this new Resident Evil movie next year. Could be, which would be kind of interesting after, I think, what is it, five? It would be 5 years between each movie. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So, but I mean, sometimes good things just take a long time to create, right? And I feel like they did enough in this movie. Like even the camera work was really good, like making the jump scares, you know, it made you feel kind of tense during most of the scenes, especially in the Spencer Mansion. Like they did a really good job of not making it just like a, kind of, well, I can see this coming. Like the jump scares actually worked in certain scenes, and obviously when they're like traveling down the hallway and you can't see around the corner, and then all of a sudden there's just like a zombie in your face, and it was like, okay, that's pretty good. And I think the scene with the dog was pretty good as well, when um what was it, the oh my god, when the chief was trapped in the parking structure there, after he has to come back, after he realizes that Umbrella has completely shut down the city and they're just killing anybody and everybody to try to, I guess, contain the virus. Now, obviously, obviously we know that isn't going to work, because they think there's zero survivors, right? And obviously there's not. There's five of them, including, I believe, including, I believe, oh my God, yeah, William Birkin's daughter. So obviously she was pretty petrified of what had happened to her dad, and obviously her dad completely changed into like this weird creature. And I think that was probably the downfall for me, was some of the like special effects, like CGI or VFX, whatever they added to it, were a little off, and the underwhelming creature at the end just seemed to be taken out so quickly, like one rocket launcher blast and he was toast. And I kind of found that a little too weak. Like, they could have had a pretty epic battle scene on that train when they're trying to all escape from Raccoon City. I feel like that should have lasted a little bit longer. Like, they could have had another, like, at maybe 10, 15 minutes added onto the movie where they're just having, like, almost like a boss fight, because they did add a lot of video game mechanics to this movie. Like, I know that in some of the Resident Evil games, you can't move when you shoot. So I feel like they added that into the Spencer Mansion scenes. And yeah, now obviously some of the games probably changed that. I haven't played. I don't even know if I've ever played a Resident Evil game, to be honest with you, or not. Now, obviously I've watched some playthroughs, so I know like kind of the gist of what happens in some of the games, and I guess they've rebooted like a few of them in the past few years. So maybe I'll have to go back and actually play some of them now that I know that, because I knew they rebooted the third one, but I had no idea they rebooted the second one. So yeah, um, I guess I just really wasn't old enough to really appreciate the games when they came out, because I believe the first game came out in the 90s, right? So yeah, I would have been pretty young. I don't think I really started playing like I played like computer games when I was a kid, but I never really started playing like on a console until I think Halo 2 came out. So yeah, I was kind of behind in the times because I was living out in the in the sticks, you could say, I guess. So yeah, video games were like few and far between. Even though I did play a lot, like there's a lot that I would have to go back now and actually really sit down and try to enjoy, which I think I should do actually now that I'm older and you know yeah, I think it would be cool. A cool thing to do would be go back and play some of the games that I maybe haven't never got to experience as a kid. I think that would be something cool to do. But anyhow, um, yeah, I think that was like the really big downfall of the movie. There was quite a bit of like comedic timing in this movie that I thought was really good, including the scene where the truck driver is infected from the dog, obviously because the dog licks up the blood on the road from the first zombie that we see, and then the dog gets infected and bites the truck driver, of course, after Claire gets out of the truck. And yeah, then the truck crashes in front of the police department, and he walks in on fire. And oh my god, what was the song that played? Anyway, the song that played it just made you laugh because it was like such a out of pocket song for that scene. But they did definitely add some comedy to this movie, which I think worked. It never really felt cheesy, that's for sure. And yeah, it was just a pretty good horror action movie. Again, not like a top tier or anything, but a 7 out of 10 for this movie is what I gave it, if I didn't already say that at the beginning. And yeah, I think I've pretty much said everything I can. So I will see you guys in the next review. Bye bye for now.